close by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com.
No time is a good time to have to call a tow truck, but when you have to make that call, Lowe's Tows is ready to help you. Lowe's Tows are Wreckmaster certified operators serving Anderson and Campbell counties, Powell and High School for over 29 years. And they can tow anything with wheels, whether it's a car, truck, motorcycle, everything from a Volkswagen to a semi. They've got you covered. They also offer jump starts, and if you've locked yourself out of your vehicle, give them a call. They can get you going again. Lowe's Tows works with all insurance companies and body shops. And be sure and ask about discounts for military and for employees of Anderson County and the city of Clinton. If you find yourself in need of a tow, give Lowe's Tows a call, 865-457-6927. That's 457-6927. Ready to serve you 24/7. Locally owned and operated. Here for you for 29 years and here for you now. Lowe's Tows, 865-457-6927. We don't want your arms and legs, just your toes.
Today's Daily Encouragement by William the Encourager, sponsored by Ted Russell Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty on Kingston Pike.
Praise the Lord, it's Friday. Oh, Dan is saying it's Friday. Yes, it is Friday. Let us pray. Thank you, Lord. Father, we thank you. We thank you, Lord God, for Friday. Lord God, we thank you, Lord God, for all that you've done for us, to us, and through us today. Father, we thank you, Lord, and we give you glory, honor, and praise today. And we ask you to walk with us today as we walk through this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Brothers and sisters, it's Friday, and I'm gonna say this one more time. Sometimes we are so busy adding up our troubles that we forget to count our blessings. Well, friends, I want you to raise your hand today and say, Lord, increase our faith. You see, because faith is a fundamental duty, my brothers and sisters. John 6:28 said, Then said they unto him, What shall we do that we might work the works of God? Verse 29 said, Jesus answered and said unto them, This is the work of God, that ye believe on him whom he has sent. Jesus went to the cross, my brothers and sisters, and he died for us. Don't you know that faith assures your success? 2 Chronicles 20:20 said, And they rose up early in the morning and went forth unto the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went forth, Jehoshaphat stood and said, Hear me, O Judah, and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem, believe in the Lord our God, so shall ye be established. Believe his prophets, so shall ye prosper. Don't you want to prosper? Don't you want your steps established? Don't you know that faith, we walk by faith and not by sight? That's right. We walk by faith. Because, see, there's things that the enemy try to show us that God wants you to know, hey, it's just an illusion. So we have to walk by faith. Faith is a fundamental duty. John 28:29 said, And then they said unto him, What shall we do that we might work the works? Again, Jesus answered and said unto them, This is the work of God, that you believe on him that sent you. Do you believe today, friends? Faith is a defensive weapon. Ephesians 6:16 says, Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench the fiery darts of the wicked. Faith is what we need. It's essential in prayer. James 1:5-6 says, If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that waveth is like the wave of the sea, with the winds tossed. The wind are tossed and driven. You don't want to be tossed back and forth. Don't go back and forth with the enemy, with the devil. Talk about you're not this. Don't argue with him. Don't get in and argue with him. Plant your feet firm in the sands of faith. Square back your shoulders, hold your head up, and say, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. The devil is a liar. The truth is not in him. He was a liar from the beginning, and he is still a liar. Stand strong in the truth. Stand strong in the faith, my brothers and sisters, and know that God loves you. And he has secured a set of keys for you that you need to access, and you need to bind the enemy, and you need to loose the faith of God upon your lives and know that you are loved. And remember, there's a way out of your mess, and it's JESUS.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Roane, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is an Ask Your Neighbor, finally Friday. All right. Chimney Christmas, great day in the morning. You know, here we come to the end of the week. It's Football Friday. I got my football. Look, Tracy bought me this cool UT shirt. It's got this flag on the back. It's got it on the back, too. It's University of Tennessee. Bought that for me. Also bought me an orange one that I wear with my black jacket. You know, we do Clinton color, so it's cool. Got me some new T-shirts because I literally have T-shirts that are older than some of my kids. I've got T-shirts that are older than all of my kids. I might even have T-shirts that are 30 years old. In fact, I know I do. At least 25. Yes, they are worn completely out, and I still wear them. So if you see me around the house, out in the yard, with a T-shirt with like the whole underarm ripped out of it and all that, that's one of my favorites. There you go. Lots going on. Lots going on today in Anderson County. Now, I'm going to let you guys decide how we do this, if we do this. All right? If we do this. This morning in the mail, I received an anonymous letter. You can see it's typed on this. Look at the, you can see the paper it's typed on, these little half sheets of paper. From someone that says they are inside of the Anderson County school systems, even to be so bold as to say they're in administration. Now, a lot of you guys have given me information anonymously, but I know who you are. Let me back up. You've given it to me in whistleblower status or asked me not to reveal your name, and so I keep you anonymous even though I know who you are. This particular letter comes from someone that I don't know who it is. I usually don't put a lot of credit into those, although this letter, there's a lot of stuff in this letter that I already know that is true. But I'm going to leave this to you. I'm going to leave this to my listeners. If you would like me to read this letter to you on the air, I will. And if not, if you don't ask me to, I won't. That's kind of because I just don't like to give credence to folks that won't sign their name to something. Although the person says there would be extreme retribution, they fear for their job if they were to come forward. So I've got that from someone inside of the Anderson County school system talking about a lot of stuff that's going on in the schools. That's up. We can also talk about last night at the Anderson County Republican meeting, the executives produced a resolution basically stomping their feet about the outcome of the election, kicking and screaming like little babies. It's embarrassing. And I remember when the people that are doing this right here were as mad at the other Republicans that did the same thing to Donald Trump. When they stood up on the stage in 2016 and said he wasn't supposed to be there, that he was a Democrat for years and years and years, and now, and we sure are glad that Donald Trump ran and won, aren't we? Even though the Jeb Bushes and the John McCains, even at the time, some of the Texas senators, Ted, they all were ridiculing him as liberal, Republican, or Democrat. You remember? Former President Bush was a Democrat up until 2012. That's when he changed. I think he changed to independent, and then he changed back to. He went from Democrat to Republican to independent, I think, then back to where he currently is now, and Republican. He's changed his party affiliation a couple times, but he was a Democrat in 2012. Many of us remember the things that he said drove him away from that party, which was a great deal of President Obama's policies. A lot of it had to do with Obamacare. And now our local leaders in the party are doing the same thing to the winner of the current Republican primary. See, our state legislatures set out how this goes, that we're going to have these primaries. And until they have closed primaries, which they never will do, I agree. I was speaking to somebody today. The reason your state legislatures will never give you a closed primary is where we would confirm in advance whether you're allowed to vote in this primary or not. Closed primary. The reason that many of our Republican legislatures, which make up the great majority, will never do that is because many of them enjoy crossover votes in order to stay elected in counties, areas, districts, especially when you get down to where it starts to bleed into some of the blue areas in Tennessee. Never will they agree to close the primaries because many of them would lose. Many of them would lose to new Republicans coming in. So it's just, I'm as disgusted with it now as I was when they did it to President Trump. Instead of fixing the problem, you lay on the floor and kick and scream about it. If indeed this is a legitimate problem, we need to be taking this to the state legislature and saying, close our primaries. I'd be okay with a closed primary. Absolutely. Where you meet the criteria to vote in one or the other parties beforehand. And you have a clear and concise path to participate in that primary. What's wrong with that? I say all the time, we should be able to vote anytime we want to, when we want to, how we want to. Amen. But under the rules, like for instance, you can't go to the wrong precinct and vote. Well, that's not discriminating against your vote. That's you're in the wrong precinct. Go over here and vote. Why? It's the rules. Nobody's gotten mad because they went to the community center and they told them to go up to the fairgrounds. Have you? And said, oh, you're discriminating against me because you changed the rules and moved it up to the fairground? No. So if the state legislature and a Republican Party in the state of Tennessee wants to close our primaries, make that a rule, that's great. Give us the, when I went to the community center, it was like, Ron, they moved you up to the fairgrounds. It's been years ago. I was like, oh, okay. I drove up to the fairgrounds. That was the new rules. So if the state legislature wants to make new rules, let's do that. And make it clear. But for this lamenting and gnashing of teeth like the world is ending is embarrassing. And it will possibly lead to a Democrat being elected, because I have a lot of Republican friends that have contacted me since last night that are not happy. I doubt you'll see a number of them back at the meetings. But Again, it's typical Anderson County Republicans. We get so caught up in the details that we miss the general good of the outcome. So those are two things that are out there. I've got this letter. Got that. And we could get into, I've had people ask me what I know about the couple that stole the money from the rescue squad. I know what we've reported, but we can talk about that too. And with the Anderson County Republican Party, it doesn't have to be negative. I just want to know what the goal is. I remember, I'll tell you this straight up. When Mayor Frank had an opponent that had ties to the Democratic Party back a number of years ago, I know a number of Democrats, I can give you their names, that supported Mayor Frank. Some of them supported Mayor Frank, crossed over on her behalf, because Catherine Denenberg, at the time, who was head of the Democratic Party, had taken on the campaign of Steve Emmert, and Steve Emmert was running as a Republican, and a lot of Democrats got mad, saying, why is the head of the Democratic Party running the campaign of a person who says they were Republican? And they said, that's it. And they left their party and voted for Terry Frank, which got her elected. That happened. Here, wait, hang on just a moment. I'm going to put you on hold for just a second. I don't know why somebody's not in there answering the phone, but hang on just a moment for me, okay? Just a moment.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to put you on hold for just a second, and I'll be right back, okay? Just one moment, okay? Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, just a moment. So she didn't ask for that help, but she received it. And if you recall, in that election, there was less than a 200-vote difference, I believe. 186 votes? I can't remember, but it was close. So it's happened before, so we need to, fix the rules no matter who enjoys the, nobody protested that because the mayor won. So here's what I would do if I were running our Republican Party. If I had anything, and I'm a Republican, I don't participate just because of this kind of tomfoolery. I mean, I have never had a conversation about these political party meetings that there wasn't some kind of controversy. They were backbiting and fighting themselves, Republican or Democrat, either one. It's like they get together just to complain about stuff instead of fix stuff. So here's the deal. Why are you not? This needs to be handled in the House and taken up with legislators, state legislators. It needs to be handled through the state election commission. It does need to be disseminated throughout the community that we can do nothing about, that you guys can do nothing about, and all we do is get to watch you kick and scream and stomp and throw a fit. And nothing changes except the opinion of independents looking on at the mess you're making. And that's what you're doing. All right, let's go to the phones and see what you guys want. What would you like to do today? Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor. Good morning.
Yeah, I'd like to hear you read that letter from the school.
All right, Wilson. I mean, I just want everybody to know when I read it, I'll read it to you. I'm not going to read it to you as journalism or truth. I'm going to read it to you as a letter that somebody sent me with no name attached to it, okay? I just want everybody to know that. All right, buddy. I'll read it.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye. Good morning. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor this morning. Hello. Where'd you go? Somebody on two. Whoever's on two, call me right back. Again, we've spent so long here at WYSH not being careful about what we report, 64 years, we've done pretty well, making sure that we've got our I's dotted and T's crossed, at least the last 34 that I know of that I've drove the ship. driven the ship, whatever it is. All right. And this comes from a person that's currently employed, that's been there more than a quarter of a century, 25 plus years. According to the letter, all right? Again, anonymous letters. I sincerely wish whoever wrote me this would simply text me or call me or email me, because I will keep your identity anonymous. But as I've told all the people that are sharing information with me that work inside the schools, I'll keep you anonymous, but I need to know. So anyway, I don't know this. I don't know who they are. I'm going to read it to you exactly as it was sent to me, and then you guys can make up your own mind. I don't know. And it just got here this morning. I just read it right before trading time. It says, Mr. Meredith, I am currently a 25-year plus employee at Anderson County Schools. Obviously, because I know there would be definite and ruthless retribution, I am writing to you anonymously. While I'm aware that your recent coverage of Clinton High School issues have caused some to give you grief, please know that the overwhelming majority of Anderson County School employees have not only supported you, but pray daily that you will not back down and continue with your inquiries as to the management of our school system. For brevity's sake, I will simply say that since V.L. Stonecipher left office, the administration of the Anderson County Schools have not only deteriorated, but has become nothing less than corrupt and morally bankrupt. The result of same has resulted in a continued decline in experienced and effective staff and a below-par education for all of our students. Sure, parental and economic factors can cause great challenges, but those issues have always been present, and yet we still manage to provide, at the least, an education for all to have the basic skills necessary to guide their adult path. This is no longer the case. Our quote-unquote leaders have not only profoundly grown in numbers, in titles, in authority, but in self-proclaimed expertise and self-enrichment. So why have our services to our students declined so drastically? According to these leaders, and the only ones allowed to speak publicly, it's everyone else's fault but their own. The general public would like to think it's because there isn't enough money for the needs. The working staff of Anderson County School Systems know that is not true. There is more money in public school funding than most realize, and it continues to grow astronomically every year. Unfortunately, corruption and illegal practices by our current administration and the Board of Education have caused a trickle-down effect that result in our teachers and our students receiving pennies on the dollar of what was intended for their use and their benefit. One would think that because of the laws, rules, and guidelines appropriated to public schools and their funding, these practices would not happen. But the positions that are supposed to be monitoring each other seem to have all joined forces and declared a free-for-all for those looking to create financial gains and financial windfalls for themselves and their families and friends. It is widespread and it is totally out of control. While it would take pages and pages, hours and hours to divulge all of the particulars, I will provide a few examples that, if given any thought, can lead one to deduce what else? 1. The monthly Board of Education minutes containing quote-unquote published reports concerning budgets and expenditures are nothing short of fraud. They are continuously changed to cover mistakes or items that may be questioned. They are created simply to satisfy the requirements of being made public. Obviously, there is no oversight or discussion as to expenses, Otherwise, the reports would not be filed with multiple duplicate entries and quote-unquote miscellaneous expenses amassing to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. There is literally no itemization, justification receipts, and or proof of what our money is actually spent on. It has become so blatant, there isn't even an attempt to create valid-looking reports. When caught or when questioned, a simple lie is told to cover up, or else the regular "we were not aware" excuse is given. This has to stop. They are aware. It is intentional. It is not only morally wrong, but it is illegal. Those that do question, pay the consequences. Inquire about an employee who was put in charge of creating reports of ESSER/COVID funds. I don't know what the ESSER COVID funds are, but which was in the millions of dollars. While she had been creating bogus reports for a while, she refused to sign her name to these reports as they were 100% fraudulent. She was then threatened and intimidated so much that she left a long-time lucrative position with the Anderson County school system to start over as a classroom teacher in Oak Ridge. I'm sure she was paid off and had to agree to a non-disclosure agreement, but this is not a route one would take in their education career path. 2, nepotism and sexual discrimination. There are laws governing these issues for a reason. We try to act like we oversee nepotism issues in our system, but just like with sexual discrimination promotion, we only quote-unquote check the box, then follow the quote-unquote "I won't tell on you if you won't tell on me" policy. Promotions, authority, titles, pay scales, contracts, fringe benefits, etc. are given to those that are either related to or have an inappropriate relationship or have evidence/knowledge of scandalous or illegal activity of employees of the central office or board members. When these actions are questioned or called out, instead of stopping, they simply agree to give more to that person or persons to keep them quiet. Increasing contract days, salaries, adding titles, and extra stipends give more PTO to balance an additional contract days. Authorizing school systems to pay for personal cars, personal car payments, maintenance, gas, personal use of credit cards, and no oversight on travel, etc. The quote-unquote fringes continue to grow and are astounding as it is never ending. Even when we finally get rid of a quote-unquote dirty employee, we then allow them to quote-unquote retire and offer them back on an X number day contract. I think it was a 180-day contract, in order to keep them quiet from telling what they know. 3, transparency. To sum this topic up is painfully obvious to see. They lie, period. When caught or questioned, they create a cover and decide who will take the fall. If the fall guy is from an admin position, central office, or a board member, they are compensated very well. If the fall guy is a frontline teacher or staff member, they have their life, reputation, and career displayed and tainted. Regarding the Clinton High School scandal, no one ever employed under this administration and or board was actually surprised. Being told to falsify grades, achievements, attendance, disabilities, and or services received have and are a current regular practice inside of the Anderson County school system today. While somewhat conveyed initially in creative educational lingo, the meaning is very clear, and they will eventually be told to do so or else. Those that refuse or question are then targeted and harassed cruelly and endlessly. Our data-driven departments are nothing but a cash grab, with all of the extra funding used for the above mentioned. Those leading these departments should absolutely be ashamed of themselves. Their only purpose is to enrich themselves or their families and friends with the money that has been given for our students. From one director, quote, with Board of Education relative, unquote, who recently retired, receiving kickbacks from the Anderson County School construction projects, quote, actually working for the same family construction business now, close quote, to one director allocating thousands of dollars to vehicle costs, and thus her child showing up with a new car, tires, wheels, lift kits, etc., to another director, also recently retired with a new contract, child being paid several hundreds of thousands of dollars for architectural services. The list goes on and on and on. Parentheses, by the way, Parrott's new Claxton Elementary School plans are not what they seem. He is making detrimental mistakes and costing us millions and millions of dollars already. He is relying on his corrupt, self-serving leaders to make decisions, which so far has resulted in nothing but costly errors. His original plans presented for the loans/grants of $26+ million are not the actual plans of the school he is planning to build. That money is and has already been funneling to the pockets of a few and will continue. His number one purpose driving this project is not to provide a better school for Claxton. It is to have his name on a building before he retires. He, nor the others who stand to make a lot of money, extra money off of this, do not care what happens afterwards. They'll live their cushy, lucrative lives as they wish, while everyone else will be struggling to provide for their students and their own families off of the lowest ranked paychecks in this region of the state of Tennessee. It's truly never ending. Ultimately, our system has and is failing everyone. It was created to serve the students, the teachers, the parents, and the community as a whole. Not only have we lost our voice as educational and child advocates, we've lost our faith, our administration, and our board. Some might say this has happened everywhere, quote unquote, but everywhere is not our concern. And that should never be a reason to allow it to continue. Some may be of the opinion that your exposure of Clinton High School issues was putting our system in a bad light, but our system is bad, and only bringing it to light will ever make it better. We've lost so many valuable educators that will continue. With that said, the majority of the Anderson County school staff salutes your concern and perseverance with the uncovering of the truths and hope that we can right these wrongs and get back to truly educating our children. Thank you. Please don't give up on making Anderson County schools a better place for everyone. Like I said, I wish that person would tell me who they are. I gave you guys, what you wanted me to read or not. So there it is. Digest it as you will. I'll take a break. We'll come back and you can share your thoughts or not. Or we can talk about anything. We can talk about football. I'm fine with football too, guys. Anything you want, if you want. If not, we'll come back here in a moment and we'll call it a day. And I got great classic hit country music all day long, right up till football time.
Exciting news from Shylock's Pawn. They've got a big sale going on. Everything in the outside sales area will be marked down. And they have several items: chainsaws, bicycles, generators, table saws, and much more. Hurry in because this sale ends September 30th at Shylock's Pawn, 1204 Clinch Avenue in Clinton. 865-457-2960. And remember, if you need money, Shylock's has cash for you.
As a homeowner, I'm always looking for peace of mind, especially when I have a costly, unplanned expense, like a cooling system repair or replacement. That's when I turn to the eScore Quality Contractor Network. They're the pros who've been specially trained and approved by TVA and your local power company. The quality contractors are licensed and insured, so you can be assured the job will be done right and inspected for free. Contact your local power company or visit energyright.com to learn more.
With skyrocketing home property values, now is the perfect time to make your home look great again. Pinnacle Home Improvements, your home exterior remodeling experts, will not only enhance the look and value of your home, your energy savings will be substantial. Protect your biggest asset with a new roofing system, new windows installed, or siding for your entire home. And now for a limited time, Pinnacle is offering 0 down payment, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 12 months. Get a new roof installed, windows
windows for your entire house or new siding and make it easy on yourself. Give your home that needed makeover with easy, affordable payments from Pinnacle Home Improvements. Call now, 865-465-9130. That's 865-465-9130. Or go to pinnacleHomeImprovements.com. With credit approval, conditions apply.
Picking a home improvement.
Bailey, it's Pinnacle.
That's what I said. Pinnacle. No.
Okay, everyone, what did you think of the chocolate bar?
It's too chewy.
Feels kind of chalky.
Too much nougat.
I need to go brush my teeth.
Business is booming for Steph's small marketing research firm.
After all these focus groups, there's only one conclusion. I need more researchers.
And she's way too busy researching
Is that peanuts?
to waste time researching resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, in fairness, too, if you guys would like me to, I will read the resolution I was telling you about from the Anderson County Republican Party, the resolution that we turned out as a party. I count myself, I'm not on any committees or anything. I think sometimes they get aggravated with me because I say what I think, but at least you know what I think. That said, I'm not invited to any of the fun. But with that being said, I will read that if you guys would like me to. It's a lot of these and theirs and whereas and wherefores, and it's a resolution, But it, basically says we're mad. I know. I shouldn't do that, but there you go. All right, let me get back to the phones here. Good morning. Welcome to WYSH. Ask Your Neighbor.
You might have done said this, but I didn't hear it. Did Vic Scarborough win the thing on the election?
Yeah, he won. Obviously he got more votes and he won that. And then they went last weekend to the state, and the state Republican Party ruled him the winner. Right. I think it was a 41-7 vote to overturn or whatever they were, to overturn the election.
He is going to be our next representative unless the Democrat wins.
Unless the Democrat wins. And with the Republican Party inside of itself right now, they're literally coming out against their own candidate. So if I don't know what they think they're going to accomplish by that, instead of, if it were me, even if you believed the absolute worst, I'd try to make lemonades out of lemons. I would do my very best with what you had, as opposed to just shining a light on getting, whatever they think happened. If they think they got took or whatever, it doesn't look good on the Republican Party.
True.
No matter, there's no good to it. There's nothing good to come out of. What would be good is if they hunkered down, and if they really truthfully were worried about Rick's policies, meet with him over and over, drill down what the people want. We are a majority Republican in this district, so he's going to have to do what his constituents, who are greatly majority Republican, want, or he'll be out next time. I mean, it's simple. I don't know I don't know what I'm missing in all of this, outside of people worrying about the integrity of the Republican Party. I didn't worry about the integrity of the Republican Party when they were criticizing Trump, and I wanted him, they said the same thing about him. He was a Democrat. He did this. He did that. There's the exact same thing. I doubt any of them would say it today. Anyway.
It boils down to some people just sore loser, I guess.
Well, that's what I think. And I posed this question before. A lot of the same people that asked Chief Scarborough to run asked me to run. They asked Tim Isbell to run, right? Yeah. Well, if Tim, who is, he serves on this, what if he would have won? Would they have contested the election then? I mean, he's one of us. If I would have won, would they have contested it? I don't know. I've been a Republican all my life. So I don't think they would have contested it if John would have won. They wouldn't have tried to, so it's just not a good look, if you ask me. That's just me. I don't run the party. Nobody, they don't call me and invite me to the party. So,
hi, I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Bye-bye. I read all this stuff that the folks in charge post, and I invite them to call. Anthony Allen wanted to come on and talk about the library books. That's been how long ago? I mean, he called me on my car phone, or on my cell phone, asked me, talked to me about it. I talked to him. But no. And this would be I would love, Anthony is a very smart man. I would love to have the conversation and understand what the thought process is going on right now. And if it is to protect the integrity of our ongoing elections, I agree. But ongoing, all right? And if you want to discredit your current Republican nominee, you might as well go ahead and vote Democrat. I mean, I'm serious. You're discrediting your own nominee. The state has told you it's going to be this way. The people that have voted have said it's going to be this way. It's going to be this way, whether you like it or not. You best embrace it and start working with the candidate to win and working with the candidate to carry forth the Republican ideals that we have. Otherwise, you're just going to complain for 2 years and probably lose to a Democrat next time, if not this time, because of this. If I were the Democratic candidate right now, I would be, it's the general election. Nobody's going to see what button you put. I would be throwing some money at a lot of election advertisements. That's what I'd be doing, because this can't be good for anybody. That said, I'm voting for Republican. I'm voting for Rick. I count him a Republican. And I'll tell you this, if he does something I don't like, if he gets too liberal for me, I'll tell him. You could tell him. And he'll either correct it or he won't. And if he don't, then we'll get somebody that will. I mean, this is how this stuff works. We get to pick. So, with that said, I'll give you 2 minutes. 2 minutes to call, 2 minutes to share, 2 minutes to ask, 2 minutes to do anything you want to do. But in 2 minutes, I'm either going to come back and talk to you, or I'm going to come back and wrap things up, get us to the 11 o'clock top of the hour news on the Fox Radio Network, and into great classic hit country music. We'll talk about, again, just because I read a letter stating what's going on in the school systems. And I'll tell you what, I got bored. There's a lot of this that I can tell you I already knew and have evidence that will corroborate it. Some of it I don't, but we don't have to talk about schools. We don't have to talk about anything. We talk about football, or we can talk about nothing. But in 2 minutes from right now, we're going to do one or the other or the other.
Warm weather is here, and with it come lots of reasons that you need Clinton Highway Wrecker Service. Wrecks still happen, cars and trucks break down, and Clinton Highway Wrecker Service tows them all. Boats and trailers, RVs and campers, motorcycles, whatever and whenever you need a tow, call Clinton Highway Wrecker Service immediately, and they will be on their way. With over 50 years experience, you know you can trust them to help get your vehicle where it needs to go without any damage. Put this number in your phone and in every vehicle you have, 865-945-7009, and help will be on the way. No matter the weather, car or truck problems can happen. A flat tire, a dead battery. Whenever you're in a jam, call the Wrecker Man. Call Clinton Highway Wrecker Service, 865-945-7009, and you will be on your way quickly. Clinton Highway Wrecker Service, in business since 1971.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence dyne test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together
matter. So help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Time is a good time to have to call a tow truck, but when you have to make that call, Lowe's Tows is ready to help you. Lowe's Tows are Wreckmaster certified operators serving Anderson and Campbell counties, Powell and High School for over 29 years. And they can tow anything with wheels, whether it's a car, truck, motorcycle, everything from a Volkswagen to a semi. They've got you covered. They also offer jump starts, and if you've locked yourself out of your vehicle, give them a call. They can get you going again. Lowe's Tows works with all insurance companies and body shops. And be sure and ask about discounts for military and for employees of Anderson County and the city of Clinton. If you find yourself in need of a tow, give Lowe's Tows a call, 865-457-6927. That's 457-6927. Ready to serve you 24/7. Locally owned and operated. Here for you for 29 years and here for you now. Lowe's Tows, 865-457-6927. We don't want your arms and legs, just your toes.
All right, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. I will say I just spoke to Tim Isbell. He's going to try. He's definitely going to come in. He's definitely going to come in, and he said he will come in and talk about this as a vice chair next week for sure. And Tim, I explained this so nobody knew about the resolution until they got there prior to sitting down at the table around this meeting. Okay. So when they went to the meeting, they didn't know there was a resolution going to be passed or going to be. It wasn't passed, by the way. It was tabled. This resolution that they brought forth last night. We've got a lot of stuff happening here in Anderson County. I know we end up talking about stuff that always sounds negative. We've got a lot of great stuff. When Stephanie's here, we talk about the tourism and the money and the things that we've had, all the stuff that's, we've got a lot of good stuff that go on. And I would way rather talk about all the good stuff going on in Anderson County than the problems. But it seems that sometimes that we shy away from problems. I guess I'm just stupid because I don't. I ran into them all my life, but sometimes it would be easier to back away or walk away or turn the other direction. But it doesn't always work that way, or I'm just not wired that way. I don't know. So with that said, I talk about all the stuff that, goes on that, I kind of wait sometimes too, like, especially with the rescue squad stuff, all that was going on. I sat on that quietly, waiting on somebody in authority to come forward with it. It took the state though. And, when mom and dad, the state, have to come in and correct it, it takes a lot out of the confidence you place in the kids that are running the circus, When the state of Tennessee has come into the school system because of attendances or because of grade change, and it takes away the confidence, at least in your school board members. Then you have a school board member that's been there forever and ever. You have 4 of them run, 3 of them got thrown out, and then 1 retired, come back and given a lucrative 180-day contract after retirement. I understand why people find that curious. So, we'll talk about it. May not make many friends in the school system, I guess. I've got kids in it. I have been a target of it. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have been a target of the Anderson County school system and some of the higher ups in the school system, especially some of the administration. And I've got and Dr. Parrott's seen this. He knows it. Again, I'm not going to air a lot of dirty laundry right now, but I can. I've got documented proof, documented email proof. I subpoenaed all the emails of the Anderson County school system that had anything to do with me, my children, at all. And I've got documented proof of illegal activity. Wrong. Oh, let me back up. I said illegal. I don't know if it's illegal or not. I don't know the law, but I can tell you this. If I read it to you, it would piss you off if they did it to you. And it does me. Did me. But I'm not grinding an axe over those particular issues. I haven't even brought those particular issues to bear out loud yet. Not with you guys. I have with our attorneys. But that's not why we're talking about grade changing. It has nothing to do with grade changing. My issues don't. But I'll tell you what it does has to do with. It has to do with the integrity, knowing that there's a lack of integrity in dealing with an issue that I had to deal with. Doesn't surprise me at all that there'd be a lack of integrity in dealing with other stuff. So it's not surprising to me. And it makes it easier for me to believe when I've got 2,000 emails that I can, that show a lack of integrity. So it makes it easier. The grade changing stuff is true, period, done. They changed grades. They lied about kids' grades. They being administration, they being school board members, they knew, they being Dr. Parrott, absolutely, positively, beyond a shadow of a doubt, knew about a bunch of this stuff, if not all of it. And I will debate and, if necessary, prove that I'm right. No, watch and see who contradicts me. See? But, if we're not, if you've got something wrong, just fix it. Let's not cover it up. Let's not put it in the kitty litter box and cover it up. Let's get rid of it and fix it. And I don't know about the intentions of building schools or any of that stuff. I'm not going to go to that, but I will tell you, there has been a effort to squash any wrongdoings from coming out. And I kind of get that. You don't want to air your dirty laundry, but and I'm okay with that if you're fixing it. But I've had excuses from, we can't do that because this one has tenure. And we know beyond a shadow of a doubt they did wrong, but we can't do this because of tenure, or we can't do that because of this, or they're here, or they're that. Husbands and wives working for and with each other in the same school system, cousins, brothers, sisters, children, all employed together. And there's policies against it, but who cares? They just make up policies as they go. No, they don't. Oh, yeah, they do. Hang on, I'm going to put this caller on hold. I'm going to put you on hold real quick, caller, okay? I'll be right back to you. I'll give you a for instance. I'm not going to say who or when or what or where, but I'm going to tell you, for instance, that happened, that I know happened. That a person came in, they walked into school, and they were told, you're tardy. Okay. And I'm not going into the exact language or who was, but school administrator told a student, you're tardy. Okay. So later on, the student came in, and this same administrator said to this student, you're tardy again. That's number 2. You are having isolated lunch with me now, coming up on Thursday. Well, this student actually had a job. They worked on the co-op program. And said, I have a job. I don't eat lunch here. I'm approved to leave. So basically was told, well, you're going to have to deal with that because this is what you get, isolated lunch for 2 tardies. To which this particular student said, I don't know is that a policy? Oh, yeah, that's a policy. Well, this particular student pulled the policies. And guess what? It's not a policy. It wasn't there. Hold on just a moment. Okay, not there. There was no policy about it. Well, then the administrator said, well, it's a policy that's, it's just not been put in yet. It is a policy we're doing. It's just not been written in yet. Just a moment. Caller, I'm going to put you on hold just a moment, okay? And there's one before you, okay? Just a moment. So this particular student researched it, came back and said there's no policy on 2 tardies equaling isolated lunch, to which the administrator said, well, you're right. I looked at it. You're right. It hasn't been implemented. It hasn't been put forth. But what I can do is make you come in early for detention before school. To which this student said, no, I've researched it. 1, my first tardy was so late, after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it wasn't a tardy, it's an absence. My second tardy was a tardy. But there is 0 policy for 1 absence and one tardy. So I will not be coming in the mornings, and I will not be having isolated lunch. And they said, oh, okay. But if the student hadn't stood up, they would have just did what they wanted. And it was mostly because of who the student was or who her family is. I'm quite sure. I don't know that their family feels like that, but I do. But that's just the kind of stuff that's going on. We're just picking, who could do that? Would you get mad if that was your kid and they just decided they were going to do that? And I will tell you this. This particular student was told by, are you ready? Administrators, you're right, but we're not going to stand up for it because we'll become a target. No. What if it's your kid? They won't stand up for your kid. You're right, kid, but let us teach you the way of the world. Don't say anything, even when you're right, if it could cost you something. Go along with the flow. Jump off the cliff with the others. We know we're here to protect you, an administrator, but we're not going to do it. You're right, but 3 of the 4 of us are going to stay out of it because we don't want to be targeted. We need our tenure. That's fact. That's what's going on today as we speak, this very moment, in our school system. Thank you for holding on. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor.
Yes, Ron. I want to give you some food for thought. I thought to myself, what would I do if I was in Ron's position, having received that information? And I figured out 3 things I would do. I would make copies, many copies of that letter. I would send 1 copy to the state comptroller's office. I would send another copy to the FBI office. I would send a 3rd copy to the governor's office because he needs to know what's going on in his state. That's what I would do, just some food for thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Goodbye, ma'am. And I might do that. Good morning. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor. Hi.
Yeah. Hey, Ron.
What?
I thought you had to have proof in order to take somebody to court. Had to have a eyewitness or something.
Not to take somebody to court. I could sue you if I wanted to. I'd lose. You know what I mean? You lose usually. If you don't have the evidence to back up your claim.
Okay, then how can they take Trump to court? Oh, just over that girl's say so. I mean, that's her word against his.
Well, like I said, they can take him to court. I could sue you right now, and I could say, this guy right here smacked me in the face 4 days ago, and I'm filing a lawsuit against him. Well, then, you know, they find out that I was in Clinton 4 days ago, and you was in Miami, and I was lying. You would win, and I would lose. But we would still have a court case. And that's what's happened, except when they got in front of the judge and these folks that hate Trump, they ruled against Trump. Doesn't matter what the evidence was.
I just don't understand it. Just somebody's one person's word against another. That's why they're taking all these cases like that.
Yeah, well, that's all that's happening in that particular issue. I mean, you can sue anybody. You can try and take anybody you want to court. You might get countersued for what's called malicious prosecution. If you go forward and you make something up and you drag somebody, you know, into court and it's a lie and it's intentional, it's malicious. There is a protection called malicious prosecution that you can countersue. You know, but you're going to be in court for a long time no matter what, and there's nothing good going to come out of it in the end.
Well, I thought, I'm not sure, but I thought I heard the other day they said he didn't have enough money to pay his bills.
Who?
Trump.
Oh, Lord. That's not.
I couldn't believe it myself, but I think that's what I heard the other day on the news.
No, not only that, not only does he have his own money, but right now the Republican Party, the money that they're generating, they're spending a lot of that on his legal defense.
Yeah.
So he's not having to pay for all of it. No, he's financially solvent.
Well, I tell you, I sure hope he comes out of winter. I swear I do. So I feel like he does, and we're going to be in a lot of trouble if that woman gets to be president.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. She has zero ideas that I agree with.
How is it all right for Russia to send missiles over there and bomb them people, but when they want to bomb him, he don't want that? I mean that.
Well,
it seems all right for him to do it, but.
Yeah, they right now China's supplying Russia, Iran's supplying Russia, and Russia's complaining about us supplying the other side. They are.
He says if we start using them on him, he's going to declare war.
Well, they're asking to use some of our weapons on an offensive manner, and I don't know. Obviously we don't know all there is to know about it, but they want to upgrade the way that we allow them to use some of the weapons that we're giving them. I'm just going to say this. This is the way I believe. This is what I think. You don't get into a fight or a war of any without the intention to win it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And if it's not important enough to pull out all the stops to win it, to threaten and be ready to use everything to win it, then it's not important enough to get involved. Now, you can not get involved and support somebody. You could say, we want to help them and we want to do this, but we won't get involved. So the United States is bordering on whether or not we're involved or whether or not we're supporting, When we start dictating what you can and can't do with the stuff we give you, it sounds like we're involved, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to provide them, sell them, give them weapons and ammunition to do with as they want. It's another thing to say, we'll give you this, but here's what you got to do with it. Then that way we are literally navigating we're drawing the architecture to their war, which is none of our business.
Yeah, once you give somebody something like that, you don't have no control over what they use it for.
And that's why I think that a lot of people are looking at it and saying, well, just exactly what is our position? And you got people that are opposing sending more money because we are every day slipping and sliding a little further into this. We'll give you this, but you can't be on the offensive. Now you can be on the offensive, but you can't cross into Russia. Now you can cross into Russia, but you can't use our stuff on the offense. Now they're asking for, one more step. And we are the one, we're sitting back here pulling the strings for that war, which, if I don't want us involved in that war. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not weighing in on what the answer is. I'm just telling you what I observe. And what I observe is we are going from being a support mechanism to being the architect of how they should fight their war, and then we're holding our money, weapons, and all the stuff. We're holding them hostage to do what we say, to use it. So,
and I hate it. We're giving them all that money, and those people over here needs help.
Well, I've said this a million times. You have to help yourself before you can help others.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, it's just, again, if you've ever ridden on an airplane, they tell you if the oxygen masks fall, put yours on first, then put your children's on, because you've got to save yourself before you're, able to save them. It's the same way in this country. We need to make sure our oxygen mask is on and that we are healthy in order to go help everybody else. Borrowing money from China to give away is stupid.
And another thing, Ron, when we have a disaster over here, like weather or something, I don't see none of them countries over rushing over here to help us.
No.
I mean, and we don't waste no time going over to help them when they have a crisis.
Yeah. Well, with regard to that, I go back to this. If we are healthy ourselves, I'm all about going and helping anybody that needs it, whether they help us or not. I feel like in my personal life, I want to live like that and be that person. But I've got to be healthy first. And you can't get mad at me because I want to make my house payment before I give away my money. You know, I'll make my house payment, and then there you go. So you can't get mad at me over wanting to take care of my family before I take care of somebody that I'm going to help. But if I have the money, and when we are healthy, I'm for helping anybody that needs help. I don't care who it is. I don't care where they are. Human beings are human beings, and the good Lord made every single one of us in his own likeness. So I'm for helping anybody that we can help. But my point is, what we're losing sight of and what people are banking on is that our goodwill, or at least the desire to appear to be so generous, we're going to end up, we're borrowing money to give to others to help them. Well, why can't they borrow the money? I mean, if we're literally borrowing it.
There you go. That's a good idea.
They could just go borrow the money from China. You know why? China won't loan it to them. Because China wants to take over as the powerhouse, the largest, most powerful country in the world. They want to take that away from us. So guess what? They will keep loaning us money. They will keep weakening us till they get us to a position that they think that they can dominate. So I will never say not to help somebody. I believe you should help everyone that you can, when you can. But if you can't, you know, we're going to be the country needing help pretty soon if we don't get our ducks in a row.
It ain't going to be long down the road. It ain't.
Well, I'm just saying I hope that we can get ourselves solvent and healthy, and I'm all about helping anybody.
Just like all them people they brought over here, now they're protesting, trying to get our country the way theirs is, and they come over here to get away from that.
Yeah. And they can come over. They can come over here anytime they want, just come in legally, right?
Yeah, there you go. I believe that. I believe that.
Yeah, but we've got to be healthy. And when we are healthy, we can help and do as much as we want. But we have to be healthy first. And that's not isolationist. People say, oh, Ron, you're isolationist when you say, you know, close the borders and do all this stuff. And I'm not. But if you keep picking a wound, it becomes infected, and pretty soon you're sick. And if we don't fix our problems in the country, we're not going to be able to help anyone. And it's going to take a pause. You can't let 20 million people in the country and continue to take care of the needs of the folks that are your current residents, because now you've got millions of non-residents. So again, welcome, Statue of Liberty. There she is, welcoming you. But come the correct way. And then before we go and borrow more money to help fund a lot of other things, we need to make ourselves healthy. And then that's what guys.
People out here lately, and sometimes it even hurts real bad. But the good Lord keeps giving me a way to do it.
Yep, I get it. Well, people are struggling right now. Everybody's struggling right now. And the only person that I've seen running for is at least certainly national office that seems to have any common sense, that seems to understand what I feel, is Donald Trump.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that myself.
And
I've always been a Democrat now, but I believe him.
Well, you're one of many Democrats that I know that are voting for Trump.
Yeah, I vote for him. I sure do. I'd vote 10 times for him if they'd let me.
Well, you're a Democrat. They might.
Oh, Lord.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, I'll tell you this, and I talk politics a lot, and I watch them a lot, and I like them. But at the end of the day, the way things will or won't change will be on our knees. The Lord knows what he's doing. He is always in control. I rest in that. I pray. I worry. I've got, kids. I've got a 16-year-old stepdaughter, 2 14-year-old twin boys. Trey is 18. Yeah. I've got a stepdaughter that's 28, raising 2 babies. You worry about what the world's going to be when my 14-year-olds start having kids.
Oh, yeah, that's bad, I'm telling you.
And the only thing to do is to pray when you can. I don't do it enough. I don't do it as much as I should. But that's the key to changing our country, changing our problems, fixing our things, is trying to turn our sights back to the Lord, back to trying to do right, back to acknowledging what's wrong. We've got to a point we don't even know what's wrong anymore. They say it's not wrong. I literally could go to Target and decide I want to walk in the girls' bathroom, dressed just like I'm dressed, cowboy boots, jeans, and everything else, and say I identify as a woman, and they'll let me. Well, it's stupid.
Man, yeah.
I've just never lived in a. I feel like it's Alice in Wonderland. Right is wrong, and wrong is right, and up is down, and down is up, and it's completely out of control. I'm going to say this. I'm going to have some friends that are going to disagree with me, but I think Trump is going to win by double digits. I don't think it's close. I don't think that there is a media outlet out there telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I think they are all coloring it the way they want to, and I think most of them are coloring it to try and make Kamala Harris the next president. But I don't necessarily, and I don't know if that's what the Lord wants or not. If it's not, it ain't going to happen. If it is, it will. Yeah. But in what I believe, what Ron Meredith thinks and believes, and it's worth exactly what it's costing you to hear it, is I think Donald Trump is going to win. He's going to win by double digits because people in this country, we see how this country is going. We see how our home life is going. And we say, if we don't have enough money to get by from day to day, we're not better off than we used to be. And then on the whole, when this country don't have enough money, we haven't had enough money to get by day to day. We've been borrowing money. We've been in deficits for years. Deficits mean we spend more than we make, so we borrow it from China. We're borrowing it from China to give it to the Ukraine. Again, I love the Ukrainian people. And you know what? I hope they blow the ever-living dog crap out of Russia and Putin. Wouldn't hurt my feelings a bit, but let them borrow the money to do it.
And what, like Trump said, they've had 3 to 4 years to solve these problems. Why are they just now talking about doing it?
Well, Bernie Sanders said this yesterday as eloquently as you can say it. They said, Bernie, you and Camilla both, you authored this plan that she backed up to end all fracking. Now she says she's for fracking. But she also says she has not changed her values. Where are you on that? And he said, she has not changed her values. And they said, well, then why is she saying that she's now for fracking? And this is literally what Bernie Sanders said. She is doing what she thinks is most expedient to get her elected. Right after he just said, no, she hasn't changed her values. She still does not believe in fracking, but she's saying what she needs to say to get elected.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. She's going to lie. She will tell you anything you want her to tell you. She would tell you that she's the Queen of England if you'll give her a vote.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
I'm going to leave it with this. Shoot, I think I've got it.
I do it all the time. Call me when you remember.
I believe Trump when he said that if he was still being president, they wouldn't have never been a war over. I believe that.
I do too. I think there are a lot of Democrats that say, well, they thought he was crazy. Guess what? If crazy keeps him at bay, keep him at bay and let him think he's crazy.
That's right. That's right. I'll always believe that. So they wouldn't have been nothing started over there.
All right.
Okay, Ron. Thank you for talking to me, buddy.
Anytime, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Good morning, WISH. Ask your neighbor.
Good morning, Ron.
Hi.
Hi. Listen, I know you guys were talking about the election.
We're talking about anything. Anything you want.
I am an independent voter. I don't vote party over politics or over policy. I vote my heart and I do my research. But I feel like we're under misrepresenting things here. I mean, when Trump was in office, the economy was great, but he added the third largest to our debt. He added over $8 trillion to our debt. If the way his plan is now, we are set to add another $4.5 trillion to the debt if he is elected, just on his tax cuts to the rich.
Now, hang on. Let me back up 1 second because I want to clarify. You understand part of the $8 trillion was the mandate of the COVID crisis.
Yes.
So should he not have done? Should he not have done that?
He did that. He left office. He didn't handle COVID.
No, but
with the deal. But what added to the debt more than anything else was the tax cuts to the rich people, and that is what most of his debt was because of.
Let me ask you something. Today, if you lose $1 on the hour, do you continue to spend that dollar you lost, or do you tighten your belt and change your ways of spending? So just because he let us keep our money, you think it's okay they keep spending on the stuff they're spending? For instance,
he didn't actually let us keep our money. He passed a tax cut, thought, that it was supposed to reduce the tax on the middle class. What happened was Trump's deal put more money in your pocket every payday.
Yeah.
You were taking home more money. You were seeing more money.
Yes.
And you thought you were making more. But the minute you went and filed your taxes, I guarantee you that money went somewhere else because you are paying it in your taxes. You might be bringing home $20, $30 more, sometimes $10 more in your payday. But at the end of the year, when you thought you were making so much more, it actually hurts you because you have to give it back to the government when you file your taxes.
Well, that might have happened to you. I don't think that happened to everybody, or he wouldn't have the support that he has. It didn't happen to me.
Well,
and I'm certainly middle class.
And I agree. I mean, like you said, this is a tough race. But I'm trying to make the best decision for my country. It's not about my wallet. It's about our law. It's about our Constitution.
Our law and Constitution is being made fun. I mean, they're not following our law and Constitution right now. They're changing it as they want.
Well, they can't change the Constitution.
They can't change it, but they can. They don't have. They are not following it.
Well, you can't change it.
Well, then how do you stop somebody from the right, their First Amendment right to speak?
Well, you don't silence people. Everybody has the right to speak, and everyone has their opinion.
Well, the court has silenced the former president. He's still
at this point in the game with the election, meaning so much. I think everybody needs to do the research, and I honestly think that. And I'm usually I'm a Republican, but the Republican Party, as I knew it, isn't anymore. And to me, as an independent voter, with what we see in Trump, he is in a very negative decline. His mental stability is going.
I disagree.
I know we saw it in Biden, and we're seeing it in Trump.
I disagree with that.
He has no control.
Where do you see
no plan?
Where do you digest your news from? Let me ask you this: do you do more than one source, or are you just a MSNBC, CNN source?
Absolutely. I read everything that I get my hands on after I check it.
Okay. No, I
check it first to see if it's worth reading.
Okay.
And then if it is, then I will read that. But I don't latch on to the next conspiracy theory or going to do this and going to do that, because I'm going to tell you right now, if everybody, and like you said, this country is going to come down to a few votes. But we better think about our democracy. We shouldn't change our Constitution.
I know
we should live by the rule of law. No man is above the law. No man.
You realize it's the Democratic Party right now that is prostituting the Constitution and our Bill of Rights as we speak. They made up laws to charge the current or the former president with. They threw the current president under the bus. The lady that's running has never got one vote cast for her as a president or as to be the head of the Democratic Party, to be the nominee. Who is ruining the Constitution?
Trump didn't have that for the Republicans.
Trump won the primary and won it twice.
Yeah. But look where we went with it.
Yeah, to tremendous economic power, to our debt going down. I know you said the debt went up, and it didn't his last year because he had to buy ventilators. He had to pay for all of these ships that Andrew Cuomo, wanted off the coast of New York to have mercy ships for people with COVID. Who paid for all that? Trump is who allocated all that money to do that, and then Biden is the one that squandered it all away.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't. And even if we're just not take the national debt out of it, I mean, he raised the debt. He's the third president that has the highest addition to the national debt. And I don't want China coming knocking on my door for the money. And
well, they already
pay it back. Yeah, we're going to pay it back one way or the other, and it's not going to be a good thing. So,
I mean, they not only knocked on Joe Biden's door, but he had an office that shared with him. I don't understand this. I sincerely do not understand some of this stuff. I mean, I agree with everything that you say. I do. I don't want China knocking on our door. I don't want to borrow any more money for China. But, you just got through listening to Joe and Kamala talk about paying off student loans. Where are we going to get that money? Do you agree with that?
No.
Okay.
I don't agree with canceling student debt.
Okay. Well, good.
For some. Now,
for any. They didn't cancel my student debt. My kids, my kids borrowing money.
Fortunately, I didn't get student debt accumulated. But what's your greatest of two evils? Would you give a tax cut to a multi-millionaire?
Well, who says that? Who is telling you that?
Trump. He's cutting taxes on the rich.
He didn't say I'm cutting taxes on the rich.
He's not going to cut your taxes.
Oh,
he's going to cut the people above you.
Who told you that?
You're thinking that you're in
Read me the plan, though. He says, I'm not going to help any of the middle class. I'm only going to help my rich buddies. That's nothing but an MSNBC talking point. Read it to me. Tell it to me.
Turn that around. What did he do his first term? He didn't help the little middle class. He helped his rich buddies. We never saw any of that.
I'm middle class.
More money in our paycheck.
Let me tell you something.
Back at the end of the year, we filed our taxes. But we didn't gain anything.
The
rich gained something, but us middle class, independent people didn't get anything out of this.
Yeah, you did. You got a lot more than you think. Even if you think that because you lost some of the IRS tax shelters that he took away that protected some things, I don't know that the middle class even uses a lot of the stuff that, like, for instance, salesperson's mileage, right? Under the tax agreement or the tax abatement that President gave, abatement is probably the wrong word, but under the plan, a lot of salespeople lost that cents per mileage that they could deduct off their taxes, but they got a greater deduction initially that offset that. So they still were the same or better. And this is in my office. This is where people, make $50,000 a year. So they were helped. That's as middle class as you get. So I'm not talking about what they say on the news. I write the checks for these people. I know when their checks go up or down, and I'm telling you it helped them. I'm telling you that everybody in this building will tell you that 4 years ago, it was a lot easier to buy gas when it was $1.80 than when it was $3.
We didn't give gas away 4 years ago. Nobody was going anywhere. And the price is based on supply and demand.
No.
Nobody was demanding gas at that time.
It's who has the supply. It comes down to...
We were begging for toilet paper 4 years ago.
No, that was under Joe Biden, the toilet paper. That was 2 years ago under Joe Biden. Check me.
But I am definitely better off than I was 4 years ago. And actually, the majority of the people I know are better off than they were 4 years ago.
Explain how.
Might not be much.
Well, no, how?
It might not be much.
You talking about financially?
They are.
Are you talking about financially?
Yes.
So unless you have just a lot of, how are you buying the same groceries then? You can't.
I live on a budget.
So
I'm semi-retired. I still work, and I do buy groceries. And no, I have no help from the outside. whatsoever.
No, I understand, but my point is groceries cost you more today, period.
Yeah, right. But, you got to look at that.
So how is that better? Everybody has to eat.
Yeah, everybody has to eat.
So where did you pick up? Where did you make the money that you lost on what groceries went up? Where did you increase? I know you decreased there. You decreased in gas.
You're never going to get that under a Republican president because they love debt. And I'm not happy with what the situation today. Let me reiterate that. But I do think that the American people deserve the opportunity to say, hey, we've had 4 years of the previous, and we've had 4 years of the previous. She was in office, she's vice president. But this man he can't put two sentences together.
Oh my!
Eating dogs and cats.
I can't. Where were you when Joe Biden was falling up and down stairs? Where were you when he couldn't speak?
That's what I was watching.
And Camilla is a liar. She lied to your face on TV and told you he was sharp, and then she stuck him in the back. And you think that that's what you want running our country? I wouldn't let her watch my kids.
I think she actually rescued, because
not him. She didn't rescue him.
We all knew.
She rescued the party that was failing, that had lied to you for as long as they could until that debate when they couldn't lie to you anymore. If that debate hadn't happened, they'd be lying to you today. I don't know how you put faith in any of them.
Well, I don't. There you go. It's hard to put faith in any of them. So I'm saying we need to change, say rebuild the Republican Party. I say get all of this craziness out of politics and take 4 years and rebuild the Republican Party to what it was. This is not the Republican Party.
I'm more of a populist than a Republican. I skew way more to Donald Trump than I do to Jeb Bush or John McCain. I really do. I am more for the things that Donald Trump says and does are more closely, I relate to them way more than I do a Bush. I relate to building something than I do, inheriting oil. I feel like his policies are way more relatable to me than any president since I can remember Ronald Reagan. And I was young with Reagan, so I know his policies. I didn't know him then. I know him more now than I knew him then. But so I just feel like as a business person, I'll just tell you this, the atmosphere of business was a million times better under Donald Trump in the city of Clinton and in East Tennessee and Knoxville than it is under this administration. And that's a blanket statement of any and all businesses that we do business with, and we have hundreds and hundreds of clients. None of them that have told me that they're better off. Many of them have told me that they're worse off. And this is just business. This has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with money. Straight up money. And even those that are generating more revenue than they're generating, it has cost them exceptionally more money to generate that revenue. So they're still coming up with less than they had. One guy was talking, he said, I could make $100,000 4 years ago, and I might make $30,000 to keep. Today, if I make $150,000, I'm only getting to keep $15,000. So it's like everybody's pointing and saying, oh, well, you're generating more. Well, yeah, because inflation. This phone that I sold yesterday for $100, I can sell today for $200 because of inflation. I made more money, but I can't go replace it unless I spend $200. We are in far worse condition.
The more we spend during this time, the more we spend is going to add to inflation. If everybody would tighten their belts, and I'm going to tell you, the stores, your big stores, your grocery stores, they are posting record profits. They're paying their CEOs millions.
Now, where did you hear that or see that?
All you have to do is look it up. Look up any company you want to look up, and you will see what they profited and what their taxes are. And, any of the major companies. Now, they posted record highs, record profits than any other time.
You've looked at grocery stores.
There has to be some gouging. Yeah, there's got to be some gouging.
But you've looked at grocery stores, and you've seen where grocery stores. You just said grocery stores are making record profits and gouging. So you've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, you can look it up. These records are public.
I'm looking it up right now as we speak. I'm pulling up Food City's year-to-year profits.
Well, I don't know about Food City. They're local. I'm talking about your national chain.
Food City is a regional chain.
Your Kroger's, Walmart. You look that up and find out. I mean, they actually posted record. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars in profit. And that's coming from gouging the people like you and me, because they'll put it out there, and if they put it out there until we decide we're going to pay that, and we break down and we go pay that. Whereas years ago, all across the country, I remember my mother and grandmothers, they would decide what was going to be bought that week. It might be somebody in California would buy eggs. Somebody in Texas might not buy extra eggs that month. But whatever it was, they did without. They found ways about it. They didn't go to the grocery store and spend $300, slap it on a credit card, and then 6 months later, you're not making payments because you done maxed out that credit card going on vacation. So now here you are. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place because of something you did.
You think that the food vendor business just decided, let's raise prices astronomically for no reason?
Yeah. They do this. Hey, people do this all the time, not just grocery stores, car dealerships. Try going in for car repair. All of that is now like $130 an hour.
Yeah.
For certified mechanics.
Because the mechanics have to...
they know we'll pay it because we have to have it.
No, because mechanics have to buy milk and food and eggs and feed their kids too. And if we keep paying them what we paid them 4 years ago, Joe Biden would starve them to death because they couldn't afford it. I just can't...
No, what they're doing is people are not managing money. You know,
so it's the people's fault.
Their gym memberships, their vacations, their manicures, their pedicures. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. And if you just look at the cosmetic industry in their profit, look up that. Look up who's making the money in this country. And then you're going to know if you can do this in black and white on your own time.
But I mean, what is wrong?
God-given brain.
I don't understand.
It's not one answer. It's not one way.
So you say Americans are wasting their money.
Incorporated.
Americans are not budgeting. They're wasting their money. Therefore, that's what's making them overspend, putting them in debt, and causing this problem.
No, they have to overspend because your grocery chains have already gouged you, and we're going to continue to pay that because we don't want to starve.
I'm going to tell you this, and me and you can we'll make a little small wager here, all right? Just whatever. I will tell you this. I will bet you if Donald Trump gets elected, you will see, first thing, energy and fuel prices go down dramatically. And when that happens, you will see food prices drop. If you don't, there will be an outcry because the thing that has driven almost every single increase in this country has been energy and transportation. Every single thing you just mentioned came on a truck, a boat, a plane, or a train to us from somewhere else. And every
it's a shame that we've let all of our money-making abilities go out of the country. You know, that hurt us.
Well, even if you're transporting it from California to Oregon, it costs more to do that today than it did 4 years ago. So the boy driving the truck has to make more money because the gas costs more. The guy paying the boy driving the truck that has the green beans has to charge more for his green beans because he's paying the guy more. The guy's buying more gas, and it just continues and continues.
These are the very people who are stepping up and saying, no $15 minimum wage. Those people who work at McDonald's need to stay where they are. They don't deserve to get up out of that.
Well, they deserve to get up out of that, but we don't need to make McDonald's $100,000 a year because they choose to stay at McDonald's. Why not go get a job somewhere else?
McDonald's.
There's nothing wrong with McDonald's.
What fast food in this country is making, and we're buying it. We're not cooking. You know, evidently we're eating out because people.
Well, let me ask you this: how much
about the gas, the groceries?
How much money is it okay for me to make here before I become gouging people?
Well, I would say anybody making over $400,000 a year should actually be in a higher tax bracket.
Well, that's okay with me.
$1 million a year, and that's.
But you're talking about businesses gouging people. I'm a business.
I'm talking about grocery stores, and things like that. that are gouging. They are absolutely gouging us.
I'm not going to. I don't know that for sure, but I don't not know it either, and it could very well be. But I do know this for a fact. Every single thing that we buy, even if you buy it from somebody in Oak Ridge, you got to drive to Oak Ridge and get it, and it costs you more to go to Oak Ridge and back today than it did 4 years ago. Somebody has to pay for that. That's not gouging. That is a mismanaged administration that day one walked in and stopped everything a former president did out of spite, not out of what was good for the country. They didn't know on day one what was good for the country. They undid 90-some-odd executive orders, most of them to do with energy, and they killed hundreds of thousands of jobs on day one on pipelines and fracking, and all of those jobs and all that rose our inflation, stuck inflation, and then when COVID hit and we printed a bunch of money and started throwing it at people that had never had $3,000 or $8,000 for their kids to rub together in their life, then we created an inflation funnel. It's huge right now.
Wasn't Trump the first one who sent out the checks? Remember? He wanted his signature on the check.
Hey, let me tell you something. I was definitely against that then. I'm against it now. I don't think that we needed to supplement anything because I think it was mostly a farce from the beginning of the COVID. I think that I think if they would have addressed it head on, they called him a racist when he closed access for people coming from China and from Asia here when this happened. They said he was a racist. They said he was. Then all of a sudden, when it hit, they said he didn't close it fast enough. The guy could literally be walking on water, and Democrats would make fun of him because he couldn't swim. That's what we're up against right now. But I just say this: if you're better off, you vote for Kamala Harris, and I will applaud you for doing so, and I will understand and respect your vote for doing so. But you are the first and only person I've met that says they are better off in their life 4 years ago than they are today. I can literally say that. Maybe some other folks that are in your position will call, but I don't know anybody else that is.
Well, I certainly am. And,
well, I'm glad.
Jobs. I mean, look how many jobs that they have added. They have added.
It's the jobs that we took. It's the
numbers to our workforce.
No, they haven't. I really do wish you. I hope you'll do the studying that you're talking about, because they're talking about adding the jobs that left during COVID. They killed the jobs. They made us all stay home, and then they think putting them back, they're literally just trying to correct the problem that they made or that COVID made. They haven't added any jobs. Go back and look where we were 4 years ago, five years ago. The number of jobs versus the number of jobs. And they have also, I encourage you to go back and look at them assigning the job numbers. Every single report this administration has put out, they have had to amend, and every single report they amend lower. Well, you don't read about the lower amendment where they say, oh, it wasn't 10 million jobs, it was only 300,000. You don't read that because they bury it. The press buries it. But I encourage you to look that up. Every jobs report has been amended and lowered because they lied about it when it came out first, or whoever keeps giving them the wrong reports should be fired because they look like jackasses when they come out and say, we added 200,000 jobs, and then they come back and say, I'm sorry, it was only 88,000. But they say 88,000 4 months later and bury it. I disagree.
88,000. Even if 88,000 people are better off now than they were 4 years ago, that's great.
No, that's adding 88,000 back. Our workforce is nowhere near as strong as it was before COVID. Period.
Well, and the president don't control that. You've got to make some effort to better your own life, whether it's Trump or whether it's Biden, whatever.
Amen.
You have got to be responsible for your life.
I agree.
Not what everybody else is. And I just think that at this point in our nation, we are so divided. We're so full of hate. It has to stop. And I miss the Republican Party. I miss that. And I'm strong independent. I don't align myself with any party. But when it comes to our Constitution, our rule of law, that has to be protected. We
so
can't,
how can you support
a nation of a dictatorship?
How? Okay.
We can't change the Constitution of the United States to suit us.
Well, how can you support a party that's done exactly what you say you're going to protect against? They had to change.
Here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I am going to vote the lesser of the two evils. And that's the way I'm going to vote. Okay. And I'm going to do my research, and every voter should do their research and vote their heart. I'm not campaigning for either one of these.
I agree.
Like I said, I'm actually, like I said, I'm strong independent. But my country, it's my country.
I agree.
love my country, and I hate to see it being so trod over and talked about like we're a shithole country. Americans the greatest nation on the earth. And every one of us has the right to stand up and say, I love my country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I won't
and the president didn't say that about our country.
I'm going to align myself with the Constitution and the rule of law to run this country.
Well, would you pass that along to the people that are breaking both of those to prosecute the former president?
Well, he's not being prosecuted. He's going to walk away. None of this.
Oh, he's been prosecuted. You haven't seen the prosecution? He's being prosecuted.
I saw the prosecution. I saw the guilty verdict, but I haven't seen him paying any time, nor will any of us see him pay any time.
Well,
he's not going to go to jail. He's got the Supreme Court on his side. So it's delayed.
So the Supreme Court is not upholding the law. They're just upholding Trump. They're on his side, or he's on the law's side. The law is on his side, or the Supreme Court's on his side. Which one?
Well, the Supreme Court's on his side.
So they're not keeping the Constitution law because they ruled in his favor. They are not. The law, they broke the law to let him off. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that they didn't break any laws to do anything. They created laws to help him do what he wanted to do. But, and you can't grant absolute immunity to any man on this earth. No man is above prosecution.
And then, as they said,
the more powerful you are, the better chance a guilty man's going to walk. Because money talks. We all know this. And power talks. So when you have the Supreme Court lined up in your favor, then look, it's a dangerous situation right there.
Well, I disagree with you wholeheartedly. And I don't understand how two people looking at the same situations can see it in such different colors. You know what I mean? I really can't. But I will say this.
And that's true for both sides.
Yes.
One side can't see the other, and the other side can't see him back.
But I do say this.
I think everybody should forget about a party, and I think everybody should vote for their country.
Well, this is what I say, and I say to you, I don't blame you at all if you vote for the Kamala Harris-Joe Biden ticket. So because of you're better off. It's been better for you, whatever you do or don't do. You know, I think people that their lives are more enriched, it's better. You know, maybe I don't know. Maybe they're transgender or whatever, and they're getting all these accolades, or getting all these being able to go in the girls' bathroom when they're boys, or win the sports. Maybe it's much better for the guy that was a man and was 400th in the country. Now he's pretending he's a woman and he's number one. Man, I'm sure he's doing a lot better. So I know where he's going to vote. But for those of us that aren't, I'm going to also tell I hope that you will respect that I'm not better off. And then I'm going to vote for the man that was in when I was better off, and the policies that made me better off. Now that's.
Well, I do, yeah, and I respect you for that. I sure do, and I respect you for their vote. I just think that some information people need to just dig it out for themselves.
Well,
and I guarantee you probably got all kind of people right now Googling and researching the debt that he added to this country, and as president, you can track every one of them.
Yeah, well, I can remember when George W. Bush did his big bank bailout, and you remember it was $800 billion, and we all gasped. Do you remember that? And now they talk about trillions like it's nothing, you know.
And then Obama came in and saved it after Bush ran us in the ground. I mean,
Obama didn't save it.
He was too big to fail.
He did Obamacare
and too big to fail.
Oh my gosh!
And so Obama saved us. You know, he pulled the country back together.
Obama is the reason you got Donald Trump, the radical. I mean, you would have never had a Donald Trump if you would not have had a Barack Hussein Obama ever. You would have never elected a person like Donald Trump if you hadn't had the outrageous radical policies that were put forth under the Obama administration. I guarantee it. He created Donald Trump. He did his mic drop. He'll never be president. Boom. And got made a fool of in his personal life as well as his political life when Trump was elected. I disagree with you on that. He didn't save us. But that said, that's why we get to vote. We get to talk to each other.
Right.
And we get to talk to each other. And I can talk to you, and I can talk to people that have disagreements with me. And you know what? We can go have a cup of coffee tomorrow and not even worry about it.
Why, yeah, you and I have met each other before. You and I have had plenty of conversations before.
Yeah, we've talked a lot
and I haven't held that against you.
Same here.
I think you're a great guy.
And I appreciate
think you should vote the way you should. And even with you today, in your position, you weren't even aware of the national debt.
I am aware of the national debt.
You had to look that up, Ron. And there's so many other people that aren't aware of it either. There's nothing wrong with not knowing.
No, I'm very aware of what Trump added to the debt.
You're not researching.
I am very aware of what Donald Trump added to the debt. I am very aware that he added more to the debt than our other presidents. I'm also very aware of the reasoning that happened, the mechanisms that were put in place to send out checks, the mechanisms to make the hospitals, the mechanisms to update the incubators or innovators, inhalers, whatever they were, all of the stuff that we had to do immediately without question, hundreds of thousands and hundreds of millions of people. We gave out tons of money. And yes, Donald Trump did that. And at the moment, we were facing something that nobody knew. In hindsight, we can always be Monday morning quarterbacks, but at the moment, nobody knew what was going on. I still was not for giving out money. I was not for giving out money, but I also was not for closing down Hammers until